Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives, the Baja Beach Wellness Diaries. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribing to our channel. There's a little bell at the top of the screen. You can click that. That is going to give you notifications every time we have a new episode. So we hope that you will do that and join us for everything that we have going on here. So today we are going to dive into a topic that everyone in this room here knows a lot about. Today we have Angela.
Hello.
And Bridget.
Hi.
And Amy, and I am your host, Wendy. Today we are going to talk about the sun. The thing that grows our food, sets our hormones, and heals our cells. We've been told for nearly 40 years now that we need to hide from the sun. We need to slather on that sunscreen, and we need to avoid it at all costs. We're going to talk today about why that's not the greatest idea. We're not going to tell you that you have to throw away your sunscreen. We're going to tell you the story most of us were never told. By the end of this episode, you're going to look at the sun differently, and that is a promise. Before we get into the data, we want to drop one word. We want to stop on one word, safe, because that's the word that has been used against us for the last 40 years. If you look up the word safe in the dictionary, it literally means protected from, not exposed to danger or risk. That is the definition. Nothing in life is safe. Walking up the stairs isn't safe. Driving your car isn't safe. Eating food isn't safe, and even breathing isn't safe. Every time someone tells you something isn't safe, what they're actually doing is using fear, making that decision for you. They're skipping the trade-off. They're skipping the conversation that matters. So the word we should be using is smart. Doing something with awareness, knowing the risk, knowing the benefit, choosing the right dose. Smart sun, smart food, smart movement. We don't need a safer life. We need a smarter one. And that is the whole point of this episode. Using sun smartly. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the science of it. We're going to talk about all the things. So where do we want to start? Where does that word smart hit you all?
I think a lot of it has to do with, balance, being smart with things in your life. There are so many things, like you said, safe is not a word anybody really should ever use because nothing in life is really safe, anything you do. And I think, anything you do in life, you need to make sure you're doing it properly. And doing what's best for you and your body, and not necessarily, what somebody tells you. I think it's important to do your own research and to know yourself and know what's going to work for you versus just, the mainstream advice that you're given, that everybody's sheepled over. Sheeple's one of my favorite words.
I like that. So, let's talk about vitamin D deficiency. I can talk a little bit about that. We were talking before we started getting into this episode. That's one thing that I think everybody commonly knows that the sun gives us, the UV gives us. I was talking that we all in my family, my husband and I, and my 4 daughters who are grown now, we all go to the same doctor. He started going to her first. Blood work, I don't know, everybody else out there has experience, they added testing your levels of vitamin D into your routine blood work with your cholesterol, your sugar, the whole thing. And, came back and she said to him, we do that now because almost everyone is vitamin D deficient because we don't get outside as much. I know my husband works in an office where there's absolutely no windows. So he has nothing all day. It's very depressing. He doesn't even know it's raining. He doesn't know anything. It's really being in a cave. I don't know how he does it. He was very vitamin D deficient. And his blood work went on prescription strength, the whole thing. Both my girls were, and I was not. And this is absolutely not a plug for Baja. I wasn't even working for Baja at the time, but I was regularly using the UV vents here. Yeah. And, and then I was working at this street, and you think about all those sunlights there, the skylights there, and, exposed to it all the time. I am I look like this all year long. I'm not vitamin D deficient. And it actually hit me this morning when I was thinking about doing this episode. Like, I'm the only one in my family that's not.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to be said. And, vitamin D, Amy can talk a lot about this. We have articles here about it that drives so much of your life. It's not just about your mood and all that. It's so,
which it helps. It helps with your mood.
It does help with your mood, but there's so many things that vitamin D in your body controls.
And there's a reason people get seasonal affective disorder. It's not, has nothing to do with it being cold. Well, some people don't like to be cold.
Well,
but like I've noticed my whole life, the people who live in the sunniest places just look the healthiest. There's a lot of older people who, like when you go to the shore, okay, or you go to Florida and you just like see the older people there, they're healthy, they're vibrant, they're active, and you can just tell the people that live in the sunnier places you can just tell they're healthier. It's definitely, I mean, you go to Florida a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Do you notice the kind of like the same thing?
I do. And it actually opened up a discussion with my mom and I, because if you do visit Florida frequently, or maybe pay a little bit more attention next time, but you can definitely tell a native Floridian from someone who is not. Just because they do have a lot more melanin, they're tanner. But you're right, they're outside. They're golfing, they're doing pickleball, they're just out and about. And you're right, they do look healthy. And then, of course, that sprang in a conversation because mom was like, well, I wonder how many times they get checked for skin cancer. And it's like, not necessarily, mom. So again, we went into the whole conversation of what we're talking about today, but there is that stigma immediately.
And, skin cancer is a real thing, but it's also a real thing that we would all be dead without the sun. We need the sun for life. Me personally, I still like talking about making smart decisions with the sun. I will completely admit I still struggle with knowing how much is enough outside. Okay. And that's really why I was able to, and I was drawn to sunbeds, is because, it was in a controlled environment and I could move up gradually. I, had the education and the certifications behind it when when I started working for Baja 20 years ago. But I'm Irish. I am very fair skinned naturally. And luckily, I've been able to, in a controlled environment, gradually build up my melanin so that I can enjoy being outside without burning. Because before I started using sunbeds, I would go outside and I would fry. I mean, I used to go to cheerleading camp and like middle school and stuff, and I'd peel. It was even with using, sunscreen. So, I still struggle with, I love being outside in the summer. But I still, it's not, you don't know what you're getting. Whereas in here, I know, okay, 4 or 5 minutes in this unit, this is what I'm getting. I don't know outside, it depends on the time of the day. And I've, sometimes been like, okay, I'm okay. And then I'm not okay. Maybe it was just an hour or whatever it was. So, it's of course important to use sunscreen. I highly recommend using a natural sunscreen, something that's not chemical sunscreen, because that gets absorbed into your bloodstream.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, but for me, it's using sunbeds has really helped me be able to enjoy the outdoors a lot more, because, not everybody, I'm probably a skin type 2.5. Like I'm right on that edge there, but it is difficult if you really lack the melanin, and that I believe, a lot of people are vitamin D deficient because they are putting on the chemical sunscreen every single day whenever they go outside, and we're blocking the good stuff.
Yeah. They're just avoiding it completely. And, same as you, I don't burn quite as easily as you do, but I I know, the summer would come, you want to enjoy the outside, you want to enjoy the pool, you go to the beach, and I put on that sunscreen, but as you're going about your day, you're just not thinking about reapplying. How often do you reapply? And the next thing you know, you get that shower, you go out for dinner down at the beach, and
Ouch.
the shoulders, the nose, everything's peeling, your chest is peeling. I am at the point now, I literally never carry it with me. I don't think about it. I never reapply, no matter how many hours I'm out, no matter how bright the sun is. I know I'm fine.
And we are different skin
Never.
types because that's not me.
Like,
and as much progress
I
as I've made, that's not me.
I don't have to think about it at all. I never burn.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, it's so important to know your skin type because you can't have unrealistic expectations. You know, if you want to get the most benefits from sun exposure and avoid the most risks, you have to know your skin type. You have to know, like, I am a 2 now that I over the years have developed more melanin. I'm probably like 2.5, actually probably more like a 3. My legs are just super white right now. But, like, I just started every morning now. I go out and I will sit when the sun's coming up for 10 minutes because, it's important for people to realize, like, the sun exposure is not just UV as well, it's infrared.
Yeah.
So, there is so much more to sun exposure than UV light. But as far as, like, your skin type, you really need to know your skin type and not have unrealistic expectations. Like, everybody in my family, well, my sister and my mom, they can go outside and get tan lines in like 5 minutes. It's like, and I have to be very careful if I have to work my way up. So I do think, back in the day, it was like, let me tan until I get the darkest I can absolutely get. And it didn't matter.
Tinfoil.
Yeah, if you were, I mean,
oil.
I had friends that are like probably like a 1.5 basically. And like, I'm like, you guys should not be, like it's all about, again, smart. You need to be smart.
And that's what's great about Sunless too. Sunless spray tanning, using Sunless products. If it's the color you're looking to achieve, we're able to do that. And that's what I do. If there's an event or something, I'm in the Versa, I'm doing like a double leg so that my legs look good, but I have to have realistic expectations. I know I'm not going to look like that just from, using sunbeds or being outside. It's just not possible for me and my skin type. So if I want that color, I can get it, but I need to get it from a spray tan.
And, point of clarification, we're all talking about skin type. We know what we're talking about. People at home, like, well, how do I know my skin type? Come on in.
Yeah.
Tell you what your skin type is. We are certified. We know how to look at all the clues about your skin and tell you what your skin type is.
Good old Fitzpatrick scale.
Yeah. So a lot of people probably don't realize that, when you work at a salon like this and you're working with UV, we all go through a certification. There's a test we got to pass. So, we know how to do it smartly.
And the number one thing is we don't, you do want to avoid sunburn at all costs outside, and certainly we never want anybody to sunburn indoors, which is why we have these certifications so that we learn our equipment and we're able to give these recommendations based upon, your skin type, tone, your history, all that good stuff, to make sure that you are getting general exposure and we help you build up that melanin gradually.
Yeah. And one thing that I always remember from that Smart Tan certification is that, one of the things when people do have, a skin cancer, happen in their life is usually when something that they were exposed to when they were a kid, years ago, that overexposure that happened, not necessarily something that would happen more recently in your life, but, that exposure over and over again when you were a child.
And we're all trained on that as well. And I mean, I know from working behind the counter for years, if a customer showed me a spot, I'd say, hey, go get that checked out. I go to a dermatologist every year. It is important, but it's important to have that balance. And I've even had, I go to a wonderful dermatologist office that I tell them I use sunbeds and they're like, hey, everything in moderation. Yeah. You want to have that balance, but the real damage comes from overexposure. And with skin cancer, there is a lot of genetics that play a part in that. So knowing your family history is super important.
Yeah. Plus our skin is the largest organ in our body. And if you really do think about even the lotions that you put on
Mhm.
your body.
What
Chemicals.
Right, the chemicals.
Cleaning
Even-
chemicals.
Right, laundry detergent.
Mhm.
You know, also too, your shampoo, your conditioner that runs down you. Our air pollutants,
Deodorant.
right? Yes, like those are all stuff that you're putting on the large sort of your skin. And again, going back to what Bridget said about the natural sunscreen, look at the back of your sunscreen.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the aerosol ones, it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
It is so frightening. And I always just say you got to follow the money. You got to follow the money, where all that is coming from. And then, you know, when I do go down to the beach, like the shaboozis, has anyone been to the beach lately? Those big, right? Okay, they're great. But like everybody and anyone has one. We're so scared to be out in the sun.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you even then at the beach?
Right.
You know,
Right.
when, just go back up on the deck or something. But it's just, there's so much, the sun is evil. The sun is bad for you. The sun is going to give you cancer.
And I think that is, you know, while again, we talked about, you know, you have to balance the benefits and the risks. We've been protecting ourselves from that one thing and focusing on, you know, if we focus on skin cancer, we could be accidentally raising our risk for other things that have to do with, you know, the positive benefits you get from the sun. And that's not health, that's fear dressed up as advice. Like, you just have to, you know, I really, really, really encourage people to do their own research, because I mean, we are obsessed in this country with absolutes. Okay. So you hear, you know, like the sun causes skin cancer. Okay. Well, first of all, there's plenty of other research that shows there's a lot of things that contribute to that, but all people hear is the sun causes skin cancer, and that is it. That is all that it is. That's all they're ever going to believe, and they're not going to do any more research. That's the way it is. And there's so many things in this country that we are like that with, and people need to realize, like, life is gray. Yeah. Life is not black and white. Life is gray. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's so many good studies, which our social media manager Meg will link in this video. But I mean, there is a 20-year Swedish study of over 29,000 women. They followed them for over 2 decades. And the women who avoided the sun had roughly double the all-cause mortality of the women with the most sun exposure. Double. So, I mean, have you guys ever heard of that? That is like insane. Crazy. And the researchers compared the health risks of avoiding the sun to the health risks of smoking, which is funny because don't you hear a lot of, oh my gosh, getting a tan is like smoking. Well, that's funny.
No, it's not.
Because I would say, if you were a caveman.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, if you were a caveman, let's talk about the two things. You walk out of your cave, you are exposed to sunlight, and you're going to produce melanin, okay? You're not walking out of your cave and lighting up a Marlboro and going about your day. Like, it's a natural process that happens in your body. Right. Like, that's what that was always my thing. Like, if we were cavemen running around naked outside, we would be producing melanin. Mm-hmm. Like,
so you know, we are animals. That's what we are. It's how we started, and we're out there in the wild.
You know, and regardless of what faith or higher spirit you believe in, I don't think that the sun was created to cause cancer.
No,
I'm sorry.
It was created to give us life.
Yes, and energy and source.
And again, it's like the absolutes. Like, so we went from, you know, the 80s, everybody tanning themselves like into a
way too much,
because that was the aesthetic. Because nobody really talked about, you know, the health benefits of the sun. It was all about the aesthetic. Like, let's get as tan as we can and have the blondest hair we can on Earth. No offense.
I had my era.
Was the sun
flash that picture.
I think we took that off of the YouTube channel. If we didn't, let's fix
no. I'm just busting you up. But like, you know, I just mentioned that other study, but it's not just one study. Like, in 2020, a peer-reviewed paper called Insufficient Sun Exposure, a Public Health Problem, linked to roughly 340,000 U.S. deaths a year. Breast cancer, colon cancer, MS, Alzheimer's, type 1 diabetes. So why is nobody talking about that? And again, Angela, let's follow the money.
Follow the money.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I get riled up.
No, it's true. I mean, you have here that Dr. Michael Hollick, the name on vitamin D research, estimated 1 billion people worldwide are vitamin D deficient or insufficient. 1 billion.
But we're selling lots of vitamin D supplements.
Yeah.
And newsflash, vitamin D supplements don't do the same thing that the sun does.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Your
Right,
body
right here.
produces vitamin D
Yep.
naturally
Yeah,
from
the
UVB
pill is not
exposure.
the same.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
not the same thing.
Right.
It's not the same. The sun derived vitamin D is not the same as the pill form.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's like crazy because, you know, again, follow the money. You know, with a lot of things in this country, may I add, it's good to do your own research with where the money goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not the same. You know, if you're outside, you think, okay, well, I put on the sunscreen to block that, you know, rays from damaging my skin, but I'm still outside. I'm still getting sun. But putting on sunscreen properly is still blocking 99% of your skin's ability to make that vitamin D.
Mhm.
So you're still not actually getting the sun from being out there. That sunscreen is blocking your your skin makes that vitamin D.
And it is all about being smart. So like, okay, I'll go out in the morning. If I go outside in the morning, I'm going out without sunscreen because I'm not at that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. window yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're outside between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., I'm going to need some sunscreen. Wendy's not going to need some sunscreen. Again, it's all about learning your skin type and
Right.
how your skin responds to UV exposure.
Smart.
Yeah. You and me would probably need 5, but I wouldn't put it on before I go out. Like right before I go out, I'd be out there for like 3 to 5 minutes, get some natural absorption, and then I'd put some on.
Yeah. Again, all about balance. Can we stop having absolutes?
Yeah.
In this country because life is gray.
But if you think about it, and I haven't read the back of a sunscreen bottle lately, but I do I think they do encourage you to put
30
on,
minutes before.
prior to going outside.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, because you want it to absorb into the largest organ of your body, with all that fun stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
get outside for a little while before you
Give it a couple minutes.
give yourself that protection.
Not too long. I mean, I can't for too long. Like
Right,
I told
right.
you guys the other day, I was like, we can't do this podcast this week because I'm a little burnt. I spent a little too much. I think it was 30 minutes, but I was at full sun. It was like noon, 0 clouds. Like, it seemed like it was fine, but I waited a little too long to put that sunscreen on. So it's, you know, that's why honestly, I do love, you know, using sunbeds more to get, you know, that exposure in some cases, just because I don't always know, you know, you don't always know. Well, I know in here.
And the thing is, you know, you're not going to come in here and use a sunbed and then go lay at your pool.
Oh my God. No, please. No one do that.
Again, being smart, because sometimes, you know, you'll hear people like, oh, I'm going to like go to the pool. And like, it's just, again, smart. Like, let's be smart. If I got sun exposure here, then I'm good for the day. I don't need to get sun exposure here. Like, you know, it's all again about balancing yourself.
Yeah.
You want to hear some dumb thinking, stupid thinking, and maybe you have known somebody who said this, but you know, people come and talk to me like, oh yeah, I'm going on vacation. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why don't you get into Baja and prep for your vacation? Nah, it's fine. I just burn the first day or two.
Oh, we hear that all the time.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Well, I hear that when people come in here. They're like, just set me for the full time because I just have to burn first.
And sorry,
then
we
I'll
don't
be
do
good.
that.
I'm sorry.
Not-
We don't do
no.
that.
I
here.
say, no, we're not in the business of burning people.
No,
I can't burn you. No, I just got to get that one burn out of the way and then I'm going to be good.
that's
No.
damn it. That's where the damage comes
We're
from.
here so that you don't burn.
I'm not going to go do it smartly. I'm going to go do it idiotically.
Yeah.
Right,
You know, and compromise my health. And
No, you're
wellness.
here for the opposite.
And who wants to be burnt?
It's so
It
bad.
sucks.
It's
It's the
uncomfortable.
worst.
Yeah.
Sunburns are the absolute worst.
Yeah.
And then you can't enjoy vacation.
No.
And it's like, nothing worse than that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
not.
definitely.
Because that's a numbing pain that
Nothing's comfortable.
no.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an afterthought because, you know, it's funny. I've seen people over the years and they're like, oh, I stay out of the sun now, or like, I don't tan anymore indoors because I don't want to get wrinkles. And then I see them on vacation, like fried. Ooh, got fried today. Hee hee hee. Like, it's just like, like, what don't people understand that, like, it's all, like, you have to do balance. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's another thing that's annoying is when people say sun gives me wrinkles.
Yeah. There's so many other factors.
Yeah.
Like, does sun exposure age you faster if you use it improperly? Absolutely.
If you don't have a proper skincare regimen, like hydrate and drink your water.
And, like, look at that study they did with that. They showed the one side of, like, the trucker face. You know, he was a trucker for, like, 30 years or something like that. And every single day for 8 hours a day, he had it coming right directly, you know, like, okay, well, yeah, like, that's gonna, you know, that makes sense. That's gonna cause wrinkles. But, like, first of all, too, I mean, this is, like, my whole holy grail is, like, not wanting to have wrinkles. I'm, like, the queen of not wanting to have wrinkles, but, like, you also have to, like, enjoy your life too. And I know that the benefits I get from having dosed sun exposure, especially with, like, internally with, like, my mitochondria and, like, even my mood, and, you know, like, that is going to outweigh maybe the little one crow's feet I get. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I have a great skincare routine. I take lots of supplements. Like, I think I'm good to, you know, make sure I'm healthy in other ways.
You know, you hydrate, and you use the good skincare. The red light therapy helps.
Right.
You know, there's so many things that, you know, counteract that, and it just does give you so
and
much.
genetics plays a
And
huge
genetics
role.
plays
For
a
sorry,
huge
shout out
role.
Kim, but
Shout out Karen. Shout out Karen.
It's very similar where you're place.
Shout out Diana. Yeah, Mike's got some good genes going. Yeah, it does.
But that brings up a perfect point, because, like, here's the part of the conversation that nobody in mainstream skincare is having yet. About 50% of the energy from the sun is not UV, it's infrared light. Let's enter the show red light therapy.
Yep, SST.
Yep. And it does something completely different. I mean, it literally, like, Dr. Roger Seahalt is a quadruple, go Dr. Roger,
Right?
board certified physician, pulmonary, critical care, sleep. He has been laying out the case that near infrared light from the sun penetrates through the body and improves how our mitochondria work, our cellular batteries. We literally are light beings. Your mitochondria cannot work properly if it does not have that. So, like, that's the reason you go to the beach, you get sun, and all of a sudden you feel, obviously you're on vacation, you're having some cocktails too, but
think about how you feel even in your own home.
Energized.
On a gray, rainy day.
Exactly.
You just want to curl up on the sofa, watch those movies or whatever. Bright, beautiful, sunshiny day. You're like, okay, let's even just clean the house. Let's do the laundry. You just feel motivated.
Right, we're all little batteries.
We are.
And
we live by the light.
Yeah.
And there was the study, the University College London published in Nature, near infrared exposure literally reduced blood sugar spikes by 26% from light. So it is doing, I mean, what it means in plain English, the sun is doing work inside your cells that has nothing to do with a suntan and nothing to do with vitamin D. Although it does also do those great things. There are other things that you need from the sun.
So you don't have to come in here because you want to be tan.
Yeah.
Come in here to give yourself that light. And, you know, I often talk, you know, we have a lot of people that come in here, they want to, you know, tan up and go on vacation. They put their account on freeze. We don't see them again until spring. I joined in the fall.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I needed that. You need that in the fall. You need that in the winter, those gray days. Do I look like this all year round? Not really, but pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, I need to feel that all year round. I look at people and they come, I want to freeze my account. Why?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do this. Why do you want to do this all year round?
Yeah.
Like, you need vitamin D all the time, not just in the summer. You know, sometimes in the summer you can get it a little bit more outside than you can the rest of the year. That's when you need it the most.
And I think the important thing is that people realize, like, I mean, if you want to produce vitamin D naturally, it comes from UVB exposure. You know what I mean? But if you don't want to have UV exposure, you know, you're going to deal with your vitamin D on a different level. But you want the mitochondrial benefits, we have the advanced red light therapy.
Yep.
We have infrared sauna pods. Like there are other things if you do not want UV exposure.
Well, and for skin type 1 who cannot develop a tan, you
Right.
know, there are those people out there
Right.
that are that skin type 1 that they cannot tan, you know, which again, okay, if you want the mitochondrial benefits, jump in the red
Yeah.
light therapy.
Absolutely.
If you want a cosmetic, you want to look tan, we
Yeah.
do a spray tan. Like you can get
Yeah.
the combination of what you need, depending on your goals.
Yeah, put both of those together. You're gonna feel great and have that glow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we have something for everybody. Like it's almost like you go to the cafeteria. Do you want UV? Do you want red light therapy? Do you want infrared?
Yeah.
We have anything you just put it on your tray.
Yeah.
We'll ring you out. It's good. So
Yeah.
no matter what you need or want, we have something that will benefit you. And then we also have hybrid beds.
Mhm.
You know, we have, you know, the
P9
P9,
gives
you got UV and red light therapy if you're crunched on time. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of doing them separately, but you know, not
Yeah.
everybody can do the same
Yeah.
thing. But I really think people need to, in this day and age, with everything we've learned about, we'll just say the powers that be, you know,
People who control the world.
you really need to take your health and you need to investigate things on your own, because not everything you hear, you're probably hearing one side of the story and not the other side of the story. And like I said, life is gray. There's two sides to every story, and then there's usually the truth in the middle.
Always investigate.
Yeah.
I'm big on investigation.
Yeah.
And ask questions. You know, I was just at my gynecologist this morning, and that poor girl, my gosh, I asked her so many questions that she probably was like, this girl is wow. And, you know, I have done my own research, so I was able to go back and forth with her,
Mhm.
you know, on some different topics. And I think she liked the fact that I knew we were talking about hormone replacement therapy, and you know how there was the horrible studies and they told you you're going to get cancer. And I said, well, wasn't that because in that study that they based all of the guidance off of for the last however many years, they were giving like 70-year-old women high doses of hormone replacement therapy who were already off menopause. And she was like, that's right. That's why that study was. So it's like, you have to investigate. I mean, how many women, we talked about this on a previous podcast episode, how many women have been screwed out of hormone replacement therapy for 50 billion years because of one little study where they messed up?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's maddening.
Yeah.
So people really need to do their own research.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't take our word for it. You know, do your own research. What does vitamin D do for you? What does deficiency of vitamin D do for you, or, you know, work against you? Why do we need it? You know, come in here. If you're not sure about your skin type, come in here, talk to us about all the different options, the infrared, like we talked about. You know, you have the seasonal depression disorders. How can we help you with that? You know, we can do all that, but do the research. Like I said, you know, we are here to help. But come in with your questions and, you know, get outside. 10-20 minutes in the morning.
Mhm.
Like I said, we're not telling you to throw away your sunscreen, but
No, don't overexpose your skin. We don't want that.
We don't want that. If you have something that looks suspicious, absolutely
Go get it checked out.
And
Yeah.
there are more doctors now that are becoming more, you know, whole person, who will tell you like, hey, well, maybe let's look at this situation. Like maybe you need to go get some sunlight in the morning. I have heard a lot of my friends recently, their doctors are starting to be like, you know what, you do need to get some sun, and it's like so refreshing. And I'm like,
well, I was
finally.
shocked. Like when I went to the dermatologist, they didn't know that I own Baja. They didn't know anything. And this woman, I mean, I won't, you know, say her name because she might want to remain private, but I was shocked that she was like, yeah, you know, if you're doing it in moderation, you know, it was like, that is refreshing. But that is what we need in all healthcare.
Yes.
We need doctors who are not just, you know, blindly, you know, telling us to go one way, or a news story comes out, so that's what they're being told that they need to say, because it all goes back to money eventually. You know, we need people invested in our health.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a great doctor, my health, you know, regular PCP and, you know, my dermatologist too. Like, they'll say, wow, you've got a great tan.
Yeah.
Thanks. I work at Baja. Nothing else said.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that.
I mean, I just
It's
saw
all part of your overall well-being.
Yeah.
right.
It really is.
And like, I just saw a clip from my favorite podcast besides this one is Diary of a CEO. And he just had a doctor on and she's like, in medical school. And she is like one of those doctors that like really does her own research now. And like, she said, she's like, I had nutrition for like 30 minutes, all of my education. And he's like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no. She's like, I was basically like taught how to like prescribe and like, so I do feel like healthcare in the next 10 years is going to come full circle where, we are starting to see people come in and they're like, my doctor told me about red light therapy.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Like
even sunbeds.
right,
Yeah.
right. And we do have, a lot of physicians that come in and use the cryotherapy. So, I do see in the next 10 years it looking very promising that, they are going to start, bringing
the wellness side.
Right, exactly. Bringing everything into it. Because, I mean, even like the stress in your life can cause disease and issues and everything. So I'm really excited like to see where healthcare goes in the next 10 years. I think we're going in the right direction, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love it. This was great.
This was great.
Very good.
So absolutely subscribe, give us a rating. Don't forget those notifications. We have an app.
Yes,
Download the
download
app.
it.
We can watch the podcast on the app. Tell all your friends, come on in and see us and get some exposure to the light.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Bye.